Boba Cafe Simulator might look like just another cozy shop management game, but after a few hours, you realize it has far more depth than meets the eye. Between orders, the core, pricing, NPC relationships, and that wonderful chaos of managing everything at once, there are several decisions that can speed up or stall your progress. So if you want to avoid wasting money, save time, and make your cafe truly profitable, stick with me, because these 10 advanced tips are going to make a huge difference in your early game. I'm Mary, and the video is about to start. This tip is great because it hits on one of the most annoying parts of any shop simulator, the feeling of doing well only to lose reputation because of a picky customer. When a game gives you the chance to stop that directly, it essentially puts you in a position of control. And I like that kind of solution because it turns frustration into action. What's interesting here is that it's not just about hitting a problematic customer for the sake of it. The idea is to protect your operations flow and prevent an unfair review from tanking the shop's momentum, making it almost an emergency measure to preserve business performance. In games like this, every star counts heavily because reputation typically impacts foot traffic, profit, and the sense of overall growth. Personally, I find it funny precisely because it matches the chaotic energy of the game. You're right there trying to keep everything organized, making drinks, serving the line, tweaking service, and out of nowhere comes someone trying to sabotage your rating like a minor social disaster in customer form. At that moment, the aggressive response becomes part of the simulator's humor, and it's the kind of detail that makes the game memorable. So this is a tip I treat as reputation defense, not gratuitous chaos. If you feel like your shop is becoming vulnerable to bad reviews, it pays to act fast to protect the flow and keep your cafe growing without taking unnecessary hits to its image. When I think about Boba Cafe Simulator, I see this kind of detail as what separates a functioning cafe from a genuinely efficient one. And putting the mobile payment sign on the counter fits right into that logic. In practice, it makes a lot of sense because you're pushing customer traffic down a faster, more direct route. Less cash on hand means less time spent making change, fewer service interruptions, and less queue buildup right in front of the counter, which is precisely where the chaos starts brewing in these simulators. What I like about this strategy is that it seems simple, but it elevates the overall feel of the game. Instead of constantly putting out fires, you make the operation cleaner and more automated, which is great when the shop starts filling up with orders, and you need to think of service as a system, not just a sequence of tasks. So I would place that sign as early as possible and treat it as an organizational priority, almost like a piece of the shop's infrastructure. In the end, the payoff isn't just selling faster, it's playing with more control, wasting less time, and running a cafe that flows much better from start to finish. If you're already in the middle of the rush and feel like restocking supplies is stealing precious time from serving customers, let me tell you about something that completely transformed my workflow in the shop. I always thought I had to carry one box at a time, category by category, like it was a strict rule of the game. But then I discovered you can stack mixed boxes. You can carry multiple boxes of completely different products at the same time. Seriously, tapioca alongside syrups, cups with toppings, all in one go. The first time I tested this, I looked at the screen like, wait, is this allowed? And my character just kept moving forward, carrying the combo without complaining. What grabs me most about this mechanic is how many seconds it saves when stocking shelves. Instead of making multiple short trips and losing your rhythm when the line starts growing, you grab everything at once and handle restocking in a single trip. I noticed that during peak hours, those accumulated seconds make a massive difference. There's time to get back to the counter, prepare the next order, and still smile at the virtual customer without that constant feeling of being behind schedule. It's one of those quality of life improvements that seem simple, but once you build it into your routine, you can't imagine playing without it. I took a little while to truly trust it myself. At first, I was afraid of dropping everything or that the game wouldn't accept the mix, so I took it slow. 2 boxes at most. After seeing that carrying several from different categories works without issue, I started assembling strategic combos. Whatever is running out first goes along with what I know will run out shortly after. It turned into almost a mini logistics puzzle inside the simulator, and honestly, that made inventory management way more fun than I expected. It's not just efficiency, it's that satisfaction of feeling like you're truly optimizing your business. If you're still restocking the old-fashioned way, 1 box at a time, try this in your next session. Stack the mixed ones, grab the combo, and stock the shelves all at once. You'll feel immediately how much smoother the cafe's flow becomes, and believe me, once you get the hang of it, it'll be one of the things you use most in the daily shop routine. It's simple, useful, and one of those tips that make you wonder why no one told you sooner. We spend hours during the day organizing the line, tweaking sugar levels, and arranging snacks, but the real secret doesn't lie in the sunlight. That's when the game changes completely. When you activate night mode, the cafe takes on an entirely different vibe, and that's when the mysterious customers show up requesting items you've never seen on the regular menu. These nighttime customers aren't like the ones walking in during the day. They arrive with rare demands, requesting potions and magical teas that you can only prepare during this period. It's as if the game gives you access to a second layer of content, hidden right in front of us. I took a while to realize that avoiding the night shift was precisely what was holding me back in terms of unlockables. The night is where the game keeps its best features. When you take these special orders and deliver the alchemical potions and teas correctly, the game rewards you with exclusive furniture blueprints and high-value recipes that can't be obtained any other way. This completely changes your decoration and profit strategy. You might be viewing the cafe in a simple way, but these secret recipes are what turn your business into something truly special. The satisfaction of seeing those rare items pop up in your inventory after a well-worked night is unmatched. My practical tip is don't close the shop at night. Let the night shift run, prepare your ingredients in advance, and keep an eye out for customers who look out of place. They always want something different. Take advantage of this window to farm those recipes because that's what will make you take off in Boba Cafe Simulator. Night after night, you'll accumulate rewards that the daytime crowd simply doesn't have access to. It's the kind of thing that separates casual players from those who truly master the game. With up to 8 players, the real magic happens when you stop trying to do everything together and start dividing tasks very clearly. I've lost a few good nights watching productions stall because nobody organized themselves, and the feeling of chaos is real. The tip I use most now is quite simple. Assign 1 or 2 partners strictly to farming and fishing during the day. While the sun is high, they focus on gathering fresh ingredients, fish, and everything mass production will need later. I like being in that role sometimes because it has a calmer, almost meditative pace, and you feel like you're building the foundation for the cafe's success without the pressure of customers yelling in line. Meanwhile, the rest of the team stays 100% focused on the tea production line. No running off to catch fish mid-rush. They prepare the bases, assemble the boba, manage inventory, and keep the flow steady. When we did this for the first time, the difference was huge. The queue moved faster, orders came out accurately, and we even had spare time to decorate the shop or interact with NPCs. In the end, this cooperative synergy is what transforms Boba Cafe Simulator from a cute little sim into something genuinely addictive. Try it in your next online lobby and tell me if production doesn't explode in efficiency. I guarantee that once you taste what a well-organized cafe feels like with the whole team in the right spot, there's no going back. In Boba Cafe Simulator, I learned that a pretty cafe isn't worth much if the kitchen is bottlenecking due to unnecessary walking and poorly placed stations. When you organize everything around production flow, the game becomes much faster, cleaner, and honestly far more satisfying to control. The way I like to think about it is almost like building an actual assembly line. Tea, then fruits, then pearls, coffee, ice, syrup, and only then final assembly. If you place these stations in sequence, or in a U-shape, you cut out that back and forth that steals precious seconds on every order. And in a cafe game, seconds turn into chaos real fast when the line starts growing. There's also that classic trap of wanting to make everything look good before it's time. I enjoy decoration as much as anyone, but here I would always prioritize efficiency first, because an elegant layout doesn't compensate if you're dropping orders due to poor movement flow. In practice, popularity might rise with visuals, but the register only feels the weight when production moves smoothly. So for me, the best path is setting up a functional layout first, and only then turning the space into something more charming. When the flow clicks, the game's tempo shifts, and you start feeling like you're actually running the cafe, not just constantly putting out fires. It's that good feeling of seeing everything running on the right track without useless rushing or wasted movement. Look, I fell right into this trap at first. I showed up excited, put together a nice menu, and started guessing prices based on feel. Like, oh, classic bubble tea at this price seems fair. The result? One day I sold a ton and barely made a profit. The next, the line vanished and stock went bad in the fridge. That was when I stopped and said, no more guessing. I picked just 1 or 2 base drinks, the ones I had already mastered making, and ran a full day at a fixed price. I tracked everything. How many cups were sold, how much money came in, how much tapioca and milk were wasted, and how long the line was backed up. The next day, I changed only the price and repeated the same time frame. The difference was night and day. What really got me was that the game's market doesn't react in just one way. When you lower the price, volume explodes, but waste and queue times spike alongside it, and you start losing customers due to delays. When you increase the margin, you sell fewer units, but each order carries more weight for the register, and the operation runs smoother. I learned it firsthand. One day with aggressive pricing left me rich in sales volume and poor in actual profit. The next, with a higher price, the shop looked emptier, but the money at the end of the day was higher, and I still had the energy to avoid making order mistakes. Without this side-by-side test, I never would have seen it. And the best part is doing this before filling the menu with new flavors, because the moment you add taro, matcha, fruit tea, and whatever else, it turns into a chaotic mess of variables. At that point, you don't know if the issue is the price, preparation time, or the customer getting confused when ordering. I learned to hold back the urge to expand. I stick to 1 or 2 items, actually test the price, track the numbers without lying to myself, and only then unlock the rest of the menu. It sounds tedious, like spreadsheet work, but it's precisely what separates a cafe that survives from one that goes broke on day 3. So my honest tip for anyone starting out right now, stop guessing. Pick base drinks, run the full day, change only the price, compare volume, revenue, waste, and queue times. The game reacts differently to every combination, and only empirical testing will show you which path makes sense for your playstyle. Do this early, before spending money on equipment and a massive menu. It'll save you a lot of headaches, and as a bonus, teaches you to read Boba Cafe Simulator's market in a way no generic tutorial ever could. When I started, the first thing I wanted to do was unlock every single drink possible and fill that menu to the brim. Seems intuitive, right? More choices, more customers, more money. Except the game has a very subtle way of punishing that greed. What happens is you spend more time running between stations, managing ingredients that run out at different speeds, and ultimately delivering late orders. That smooth workflow vanishes quickly. The inventory management system in this game is much more aggressive than it appears. Every new drink you add isn't just an extra item on the menu. It's a new supply chain, a new station requiring attention, and a new point of failure. The game doesn't give you infinite stock for free. You need to monitor what's running low, restock at the right time, and if you have 10 different drinks using scattered ingredients, you simply can't keep up with the pace.
efficiency plummets, and you won't understand why. Here is what I learned after restarting a few times. Start with 4 to 6 drinks at most, and choose recipes that share the majority of their ingredients. If you can make 4 different drinks using the same tea base, the same milk, and variations of just a few toppings, your inventory stays lean, your stations stay organized, and you can maintain a steady stream of orders without getting stuck. Only expand the menu when you feel that rhythm is stable and you're delivering quickly without errors. Otherwise, you're just adding unnecessary complexity. I know the urge to have a huge menu and impress customers is strong, but Boba Cafe Simulator rewards control, not volume. In the early and mid-game, an overly wide menu is literally the killer of your efficiency. Keep it small, master the basics, and then grow gradually. When you finally expand, you'll do so from a solid foundation, not from an operation that collapses during every customer rush. I really enjoy when a simulator forces you to think like an actual cafe owner. And here, the weather becomes part of the strategy, not just pretty background art. When you start respecting it, the game gets smarter and much more enjoyable to manage. To me, the main point is simple. On hot days, it makes more sense to push cold drinks and fruit options because that aligns with customer behavior and avoids dead inventory. On cold days, warm, creamy drinks seem to be the natural path. And I think that's great because it gives a distinct identity to each period of the game. This variation keeps the routine from feeling repetitive and forces you to plan your menu better before demand surges. What I find most powerful about this mechanic is the idea of keeping 1 or 2 seasonal options ready at all times. That's the kind of small preparation that, in practice, can yield a big jump in demand and average order value when the right season arrives. I really like that feeling of being one step ahead because it isn't just reacting to the weather, it's using the weather to your advantage. If you treat weather and seasons as a real meta, you stop playing on impulse and start building a smarter, more profitable operation. Honestly, it's exactly this kind of depth that makes me pay attention to a cafe simulator. At the beginning, I was that classic early game boss. Minimum wage for everyone, long shifts, and zero conversation. It worked. The register filled up faster, I expanded the shop, and I felt smart. But after a while, things started getting weird. The staff worked on autopilot, made more mistakes, and I realized I was stuck progression-wise. That's when I flipped the switch. I stopped treating employees as a cost and started treating them as a long-term investment. I raised salaries thoughtfully, talked to them, fulfilled simple requests, and built real relationships. What caught me off guard was how much the game rewards this. When the relationship bar goes up, you start unlocking backstory, exclusive recipes you can't find anywhere else, and even furniture blueprints that change both the visual look and the efficiency of the shop. Stuff I simply couldn't unlock on my own, no matter how much I grinded. In the mid and late game, the difference becomes night and day. An employee with a good relationship prepares faster, makes fewer errors, handles the line on their own, and delivers content that the low-wage exploitation playstyle never unlocks. I felt firsthand the turn from an apathetic team to one that actually carries the operation. In the short term, yes, exploiting low wages gives you momentum. You save money, reinvest in equipment, and level up faster. But that shortcut has an expiration date. There comes a time when extra cash doesn't offset locked content and dropping efficiency. I lost a good few hours insisting on the cheapskate route before admitting I was sabotaging myself. Today, I look at the mid-late game and see it clearly. Well-treated employees aren't an expense, they're a multiplier. They become the difference between a cafe that merely survives and one that unlocks everything hidden for players who did it right. So, my honest tip, don't stay in exploitation mode forever. Use the early game to stabilize your cash flow, but as soon as you can, invest in relationships. Talk, pay better, fulfill their requests. In the long run, you gain real efficiency, stories, exclusive recipes, and furniture that only they can unlock, content you could never reach alone. Do this early enough, and Boba Cafe Simulator's late game becomes way more rewarding to play.